Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Committee of the Whole for Thursday, February 26, 2026. It is now 9:30, and I would like to call the meeting to order. I would like to acknowledge that we work, live, and play on the territories of the Sechelt and the Squamish Nations. And we have an agenda in front of us, and I'm looking for a motion to accept the agenda as it is. I have a motion and a seconder. All in favor? Very good. All right, so we're off to the races. We have no presentations or delegations. I would like a motion to accept all reports. There we go. And all in favor? Very good, thank you. So all the reports are now entered in. Report number 4.1 is Cliff Gilker Trail Remediation Parks Recovery Bridges Construction Award. And I am going to ask staff to come and introduce this for us. We have a Manager of Park Services, Jessica Huntington, and our General Manager of Community Services. Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning. I'm pleased to present the staff report outlining the Sunshine Coast Community Forest proposal for the replacement of the Upper Waterfall and Gorge Bridges, along with the associated implications and options for board consideration. As we prepare to advance this significant component of the Cliff Gilker Bridges and Trail Remediation Project, I would like to acknowledge and thank the Sunshine Coast Community Forest for their generosity in supporting the replacement of the bridges, and staff are looking forward to working collaboratively to move this project forward. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer your questions.
Very good. I look to my directors to see if they have any questions for staff on this or would like to move the motions as they appear. Director Gabias.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. This feels good. This is something I think we can be really proud of. This is what I think the board wants, and I really want to thank staff for getting us there. And thank you to the community forest as well. I wish it could have happened a little sooner, maybe a month sooner. That would have been nice. But hopefully this project teaches us that that's an instinct that we should have. Like when we have issues like the one that happened at Cliff Gilker, turn to the community and see how, because people want to help, especially with our parks. So really happy to see this collaboration happening. And also I want to say thanks to Chair Toth, who, thanks to his pragmatism and his good relationship with the community forest, was able to facilitate this. It's a new way of doing things. Well, not new, but for us, and what a great asset to have community forests in the community to help us with these kinds of things. Question to staff is, what would be the, how would we go about if the two bridges that we've asked to decommission because the price tag was too high, is there a way to in the future maybe keep some of the funds that we would be returning to Community Works Fund, so to plan for two more bridges? How would that work?
That's a good question, and I'm going to ask which staff member would like to address that. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I think the simplest solution is I don't want to have any delay in moving what we do know today forward. So I think we need to do that. And then if there is a desire by the board to change the scope of the program to possibly bring back the consideration for the replacement of those other two bridges, then we can begin conversations to see how to make that possible and come back to the board with a related report and implications. And that way we don't delay what we've already put in motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and the funds that are going to be returned to the Community Works Fund will be available to us for future projects like this. Go ahead, Director Inkster, and then Director McMahon.
Yeah, thank you. Obviously, this is rural areas that are participating in this really important parks function. This is good to see. I hope that that the regional district continues to look to and a group with the expertise of the community forest to look at bridges that we have. We have lots of water courses on the Sunshine Coast. They need bridges. So we should be in future now looking to groups with the expertise like community forest to build this. I would ask through you to staff, the report was fairly explanatory. The only piece that I would ask about, and two questions. I'd love to, if safe, to watch through you, through to staff, through to Mr. Hanson to say, I'd love to watch when if they have possible to see what they're doing. That would be great. This is a good community thing. Timeline. It says by the end of the year. I'm hoping, because that's very broad. I'm hoping that I'm not instructing. I'm hoping that it would be done by the end of summer, if possible, because it is the end of February. We want to get going. I think they're fast. I think they'll do it properly, but fast. And I just wanted to see if that was, and I'm not instructing, I'm wondering if in fact that would come before. We need those bridges back soon. Additionally, I hope that once the decision is made today that the regional district is quick to go on social media to talk about this solution and an enthusiastic timeline, because we know what's been happening there in Cliff Gilker with the disappointment without the bridges and the attempt by community members to make use of one of the bridges. And then it wasn't deemed safe, so we had to shut that down, as the director well knows, because he probably felt that pushback. But I think that if we decide on this, and it looks like you will, that we talk about it some more. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely, I think it would be great to have some type of public record of the work that's performed, because this is an absolutely good news story. And if staff wants input on that statement question, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So in the report, I think what we're referring to is the entire project, because there is more than just the bridges, there's also the trails. So we are focusing on the bridges. That's been our focus since the beginning of January. We have met with Community Forest Group. We've walked through sort of all the steps. There's, I know that they're keen to get going on some of the pieces as well that we can do in absence of a few permits, i.e. milling on site. So we have been working concurrently at having our agreement ready so that we can launch and get moving. So I would anticipate that the bridges will be done well before the end of the year, but the trails and some of the signs and the rest of the project will take a bit of time as well, because we're going to focus on the bridges first of all, and then we'll keep going concurrently with everything else. So I anticipate to see some work starting as soon as some other pieces are in place, but not a big delay. Thank you.
Thank you for the answer. I like that we are concentrating on the bridges, because they're a very integral part of this park. Go ahead. Director McMahon was first.
Thank you. I'm pleased and relieved to see that we have a really good solution to this bridge challenge, and that we're going to get a little, I think, more nimble about figuring out how to respond to these bridges. We have a lot of aging bridges, as somebody pointed out. We have a lot of water courses, and they come with bridges, and the cost these days to do it through the without community partnerships is pretty breathtaking. So and many of these bridges were originally community partnerships that put them in place. So we're just going to have to be flexible and creative in our solutions, and this is great. I love reports that say you're spending less money. We could use more of those. Thanks.
All right, I don't see a question for staff there, but I'm going to go to Director Lee and then Director White.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, our original bridges were built largely by the community and largely unengineered. But in this instance, this is an engineered solution. I have confidence it's going to be much longer than the 20 years, because there is ways of helping to do that. And I really like the idea of using wood when you're in the forest. It's when you're wandering through the forest in a forest trail. The wood bridges are actually a highlight. You can sit there and watch the water run under them. So I wanted to commend staff on pivoting and accepting this. I think it's absolutely great. And I'm hoping that we will do Vinebrook and Kleindale in a very similar manner, which would bring the cost down for all of us and actually get it done sooner, I hope. So, thank you.
Well, I commend the Director for Area A to try and bring his community into this loop. Go ahead.
I wanted to do that too. So I mean, it's, I think there's a very broad, I'm hoping, I want to echo especially Director McMahon's comments about this kind of coming up as a really efficient and sensible solution to the challenges, asset management challenges that local governments face, and the regulatory challenges. But I do have a question about it too, and which is more broadly, is what we've learned from kind of setting up this arrangement with one community group. A lot of the effort and time and resources that have been put into that, is that now applicable to be able to perhaps expand this project within Cliff Gilker, Area A, Area E, other projects in the Parks Department? Is a lot of the great work that's gone into this now going to be able to help us be more responsive to other asset failures or replacements that are needed?
Thank you for that question. Can we use this as a template?
Thank you,
Go ahead.
Chair. So we do have a lot of community partnerships that exist already. So I think that this is another unique and great opportunity, and we do appreciate the Sunshine Coast Community Forest coming forward. So this is a model that we will definitely look to try and apply. We need to make sure that we stay within our purchasing and procurement rules and trade acts as well. So we'll keep that in mind. But I think, you know, we've heard loud and clear that we need to be looking at these type of models, and we will when possible, and keep pursuing other community investments when the opportunity arises. We do know and have identified, even for the trail piece of Cliff Gilker, we've said from the very beginning that when we're ready, we'll be looking for volunteers to help supplement and contribute to the project. So that continues to be on our radar. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Remind the board that we do have a rather lengthy agenda in front of us. If everyone's had their pre-motion comments, I would like to move the recommendations as they appear on page 3. I see a seconder. Is there any more discussion on the motion?
It's Park Service, so it's rural directors.
Yes, it's Park Service, so it's rural directors only. So seeing none, I will call the question. All in favor? Very good, that's unanimous. Thank you. I am going to add a couple of motions that I've put forward to our recording secretary. And I'll be looking for seconders on these. The motion that staff provide monthly updates to the Electoral Area Services Committee meetings regarding the Cliff Gilker Bridge project, including any permitting delays or issues that may arise, as well as a motion that staff invite the Sunshine Coast Community Forest to collaborate on the feasibility of replacing the Zigzag Bridge with a 2027 budget proposal to come forward for consideration if viable. And I'm looking for a seconder for that. I have a seconder. Is there any discussion on this motion, on these motions? One at a time? Very good. We'll do them one at a time. So the first motion, project updates. Very good. I have a seconder. Discussions on the project updates motion? None? I'll call the question. All in favor? Very good. Okay, we'll move on to the feasibility of replacing the Zigzag Bridge. I have a seconder. Any discussion on that? Very good. All in favor? Excellent. Okay, those pass. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, you have a question on this?
I just wanted to point out that the same atmospheric river that did such damage to Cliff Gilchrist Park also took out the bridge at Chester House. And the community is eager to see what we can do to replace it because it has been a long time. And we're working on it, but I'm hoping we can come forward with a community partnership on this one as well. Thank you.
That's really good. Hopefully, this is going to be the beginning of a beautiful relationship of bridge building. Everybody loves a bridge builder. So, with that taken care of, we're going to move on. Thank you very much, staff. This is a really good news story.
If I may, real quick.
Certainly, go ahead.
And thank you to the members of the Community Forest for coming out today.
Yes.
We look forward to working with you guys more.
I'll allow it. I'll allow it. Go ahead. What's your question? In the microphone.
Or just repeat the question.
So I see what's happened. So how long before I get the green light to actually start doing something?
How long is it going to take for?
We got a nice weekend coming up. I'm ready for
Right, and so the community force is chomping at the bit to get started on this, and I look to staff to see how soon they. There was a mention that there are some parts of the job that can be done immediately, and I was wondering if they can force that. Sorry, go ahead. No. Staff, can you answer the question that this gentleman has given us?
Thank you, Chair. We have been working with the Sunshine Community Forest on timelines. We do need to get an agreement in place first from a liability perspective. So we have been working on that agreement. We don't see that it's not going to take a long time, but we do need to get that agreement. I believe that the Sunshine Coast Community Forest is aware of that. So as soon as they have that in place, there's the green light. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Go ahead, Director McMahon.
Is there any benefit to moving this item to board
It's going to board
today?
already. That's
Oh,
one of
it's
the
going to board. All right. Never mind.
All right, good.
Ignore
This will appear at board this afternoon. Excellent. So, moving along here to 4.2, Solid Waste Management Plan Engagement Strategy. We have Strategic Planning Coordinator Rempel and Manager Mark Soul. Thank you, staff. Go ahead and introduce this.
Thank you. On February 12th, 2026, the board directed staff to engage on the draft solid waste management plan with the community. Following provincial guidelines, staff are preparing to engage with the public on the draft plan between March 1st and April 10th of this year. This report provides an outline of the planned methods of engagement during this engagement period, and staff are here to answer any questions you may have.
I think they're all in shock of that last item, so that things actually went through. Go ahead, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I actually don't have any questions for staff. Happy to see this moving forward. 6 weeks feels like an aggressive timeline, but I know that staff, when they want to get out and engage, they can do a really good job of doing that. So I'm happy to move the recommendations on page 9 as they are presented. Thank you.
I see a seconder. Any discussion on this motion? Go ahead, Director McMahon.
Yeah. No, I'm happy. This looks like a well thought out public engagement strategy, and we have a rapidly filling landfill, so we need to move this forward as expeditiously as we can. So thank you very much for this. We look forward to the engagement.
Okay. Seeing no other questions on the motion on the floor, I will call the question. All in favor? Very good, that passes. Thank you. We are going to move on to item 4.4, 4.3, Eastbourne Water System Operations and Maintenance Contract Term Extension. And we have General Manager Rosenboom to introduce this.
Yes, I was expecting one other manager to come in, but I will take the honors for now. The The purpose, thank you, Chair. Purpose of this report is to seek board approval for a contract extension for our operating and maintenance contractor at the, there is, for our Eastbourne water system. Our Eastbourne water system is an SRD system that is operated and maintained by a contractor for logistic purposes. And it's going very satisfactory, and that's why we're proposing a 2-year extension to the contract. Thank you.
All right, thanks for joining us, Manager Giberson. And I'm going to look to Director McMahon. You have a question about this?
Yes, I just was trying to remember where we are at in the saga of the Eastbourne water supply, which has been, playing out for quite some time now. So how does this 2-year contract extension fit into any other plans that we've got going?
Thank you for the question, Chair. It's almost unrelated, because it will take at least 2 years for those wells, for the new wells to be developed. We've experienced some in other projects that we're planning. We confirmed that there was some archaeological artifacts, areas with high archaeological potential that we need to deal with in the project area. So we're working to resolve those, but at the same time we're preparing an request for proposals for a contractor to help us with the design and of those new wells and associated infrastructure.
Go ahead, Director Stanford. Sorry, I've got something in my throat.
Thank you, Chair. It's really good to see this. This is a local company that has a strong family presence on Keats. They are well connected to the community and responsive to any issues. So I would like to move the recommendations as presented on page 15 of the agenda package.
And we have a seconder for that. And I'm looking to see if anybody wants to.
Just a comment.
Okay, go ahead, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Just a comment that, thank you, Director Stanford, for mentioning that it is a local on-island company and family, because I think a lot of the times when the regional district ends up responsible for the water systems, we end up having contractors or consultants that have to travel to get to the system. And thinking about, water system operations and my own water system, you really do need eyes on it daily and emergency access all the time. So I know there's a couple of other communities on the coast with smaller or more isolated water systems, and the more local knowledge that can be built up and expertise that can be gained, the better for everybody. So thank you.
Very good. Any other comments on the motion? There's a motion on the floor, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any more comments on that motion on the floor? I don't see any, so I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Very good. Thank you. We're going to move on to item 4.4, the wastewater facilities feasibility study results, which is for information for the board. And if anyone has any questions for staff, we have Assistant Manager O'Rourke as well as our GM Rosenboom here to answer any questions you may have.
Is there anything you wanted to highlight?
Is there myself?
No, is there anything they want to
Oh, that's a good question. Thank you, Vice Chair. Is there anything in this report that you would like to highlight for the board to illuminate us on this?
Not really. I drafted a little introduction speech here.
Go ahead.
Saying the purpose of the report is to present the results of the wastewater system feasibility studies for the Square Bay collection system and the Jolly Roger Secret Cove wastewater treatment plants. The studies identify high priority near-term and long-term actions for all three systems. No immediate action or committee direction is required at this time. However, we will look to implement operational process changes identified in the studies and will consider presenting budget proposals for implementation of high priority recommendations as part of the 2027 budget process. We're happy to answer any questions you have. That's it.
I'm going to go, I think the majority of these are in Area A. And there's some in Area B as well. I'll start with Area A. Go ahead, Director Lee.
I just wanted to say I really like the thought that we're actually making a community-type solution rather than standalone little ones. It seems like an awful good way to go to me, so wanted to commend you on the proposal, or at least the thoughts. It isn't a proposal yet.
Excellent. Okay, Director Gabias.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And yeah, no decisions to be made today. Thank you to staff for giving us the heads up, and I'll circulate that with my community for the people affected so that they know what's happening, what's coming up. I have a question about the Jolly Roger Secret Cove one and how, I mean, I know that GM Hall is not here, but if we're talking about building a new one or doing upgrades, like how could this kind of dovetail with the OCP? And I don't know if GM Rosenbaum can speak on this, or I should wait for GM Hall to be back, but.
Good question for the GM. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. This kind of information is shared internally with our planning department so that in any assessments of feasibility of growth areas, this kind of information is included. And I think it speaks to a larger discussion within the OCP, context of the OCP about sewer system and wastewater systems and servicing capacity of growth areas. So yeah, this is definitely information that is shared with them and that collaborative will consider in any further steps with the OCP. Thank you.
Very good. I'm going to look to Director McMahon for the next.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if you would expand a little on how this fits into our bigger asset management efforts with our wastewater systems. Because I remember about 4 years ago, we got a series of reports on each of the wastewater systems. And then I assume that following on those reports, you know, and we've been working on financial plans for each one of them, financial approaches, but I assume that there is a plan rolling out on how to deal with each of these.
Thank you.
No, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Chair.
She's assuming.
I jumped the road. This is a direct response to those plans being developed, because in those plans, these two facilities, Jolly Roger and Secret Cove, were identified as end of life in 2029. So this is directly a response to those plans. What I should note is, in this case, these two projects were funded from provincial grant funding, and that grant funding is currently no longer available, and it's to be confirmed by the province if it will at some point reopen or not, that program. But
thank you for the answer. This is for information only, and it's there in the public record for anyone to have a look at. So I'm going to move along if we have no other questions. Oh, go ahead, Director McMahon. You have something else.
Sorry, and I may not have read it closely enough, but is there a communications plan with the participants in these services?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Currently, that has not been considered because we're really in early planning stage. But I just heard the director say that she will initiate some conversation, and if staff can support that, we are more than happy to do so.
Okay, is that sufficient? Good, thank you for your time. We're going to move on now into our Sunshine Coast Regional District Extreme Heat Plan. We have Acting Senior Manager of Emergency and Protective Services, Chief Michael, as well as Emergency Manager Coordinator, Aaron Wilson, to answer any questions. This is a request for decision for the recommendations that appear on page 23. And I was wondering if there are any questions for the staff members
Or an introduction.
or an introduction from these staff members. Thank you, Chair. You keep me on the straight and narrow.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Good morning, Chair. Today we're presenting the Heat Emergency Response Plan, which is a foundational document that supports the SCRD's emergency management program. While it's been completed for some time, we're bringing it forward now to make sure the work is officially recognized and we can share it with our First Nations and government partners to support our coordinated regional preparedness. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I have one question. On page 30 of the agenda before us, there is an internal plan distribution that neglects to include my area, Area D. And I was wondering why that is. Probably just a typo. But I would imagine that we will include Area D in the distribution of this plan.
Very thorough.
Thank you.
Yes, we will.
Okay, good. That's just a repair to the plan that I'm looking for. Go ahead, Director Lee.
Thank you, Chair. I was noting on the extreme heat plan that it's got a date of February 2024. Was that when the plan was made? Because we're calling it the final plan with the 2024 date. I was wondering how come it took so long to get here.
Thank you, Director Lee. I believe that was the beginnings of this plan, but go ahead, Chief Michael.
Yeah, so we had recognized that these plans have been in development for quite some time and completed, but not formally brought through to the board. There was a presentation by the consultant, but the actual plan itself was never brought forward. So we're just kind of tying up some loose ends and tidying things up by bringing it here today.
Director Inkster, you go ahead. You have a question.
Just through you to staff, I'm assuming when they say they're providing the report to other levels of government, great. We're all in this together with climate change. Could I just ask that if it goes to our staff, it also goes to Sechelt Council as well, if that's part of the plan? The concerns with heat leading to forest fires and or heat generally is a concern of everyone's. And one of the things our council's been doing is outreaches to our community on the forest fire issues. So if we can get the heat information. An interesting just little side note, Chair, is that when the last time, because heat comes at different times, I remember a few years ago, and I think everyone remembers that was around, is the heat was in June, I think it was, the heat dome. And I was at a soccer tournament in Gibson's and there was hundreds of kids there, but the sprinklers were able to be on, which was the right time of year. I guess we still had enough water. So the kids all used the sprinkler system to keep, I had to break the game. I was one of the refs and organizers. I had to break the games every 10 minutes so that the kids could all run under the sprinklers because there's hundreds of kids there. So that was a great heat reaction from the planners of that event, but the unfortunate part is heat may come in August, where I'm not sure if we can use that same cooling system in our public parks, but it really worked for hundreds of kids. Maybe in Brothers, as Councillor White is saying, but that's great. That was such a good system that we had in place that day, but it was in June. Thanks.
Thank you. I was going to go to Director Stanford and then back to Director McMahon. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd just like to commend you on this report. It's very thorough, and it isn't just the focus on the heat issues, it's the detail and the stats behind it. One of the questions I had, I think it's briefly mentioned in an ecological point of view, but specifically, one of the concerns I've had is it seems obvious that when there is an extreme heat event, people do tend to go to the ocean. And it also seems to be the time when we see higher E. coli counts around the beaches, and that actually can become a health hazard. So I'd like to see that expanded a bit more, and how the coordination between Vancouver Health or Coastal Health and getting the beaches tested at the same time. So we know that one of the avenues for heat support is a safe alternative.
Go ahead.
I think the best answer I've got for that one is that Vancouver Coastal Health is part of our emergency planning committee, and that is something that I think we can take forward and discuss with them to make sure that we're in alignment.
Director McMahon, go ahead.
Yes, I was just trying to find, somewhere in here I thought there was a list of cooling centers, but as was pointed out in here, we don't have very many air-conditioned public spaces on the coast. So is there a contemplated strategy for putting heat pumps or other cooling systems into more of our public buildings?
There is a chart on page 196 that talks about the cooling centers, but yeah, is there a strategy to include some of our centers? I have a comment about that after Chief Michael gives us the rundown on this.
I think the short answer would be not currently, but I think that we are trying to think about this when we are doing more of our buildings, and it's on the radar, but I don't know of a specific plan designated to have more heat pumps in our community buildings at this time.
Thank you. And I do want to point out, it shows that there are no cooling centers within my area, Roberts Creek, but I believe that the community association has upgraded the HVAC system at the hall, and it can act as an emergency cooling system. So that, I wonder if that should be included in this report. I had a hand up over here. Go ahead, the director from Area F.
Thank you. I think he's just getting at me. Yeah, a lot of this particular plan is reliant on neighbors connecting with neighbors, because that seems to be the most vulnerable. There's a lot of people that live alone. It's relying on that communication to the public. So it's not just a plan. Is there an active communication strategy to get the information out prior to the summer and remind people that this is more than some other emergency situations, neighborhoods checking on neighbors. So that's communication strategy is where I'm coming from.
Go ahead, Chief. I know we have an emergency communications app that not everybody's aware of, and the name escapes me. Voyant. Thank you. Go ahead.
Board, we do have a communications plan that we work with our communications team with every year. And this heat planning is a part of that we have a plan for those months leading up to the summer months. And then we also have communications that are generally sent out to our community partners as well for them to send out to their clients. So that is definitely part of our communications plan.
Follow-up? Go ahead.
And just a reminder that the directors all have their own communications within their rural areas, their own on-the-ground strategies. So please keep us in the loop as early as possible so we can get the messages out ourselves.
Head, my vice chair wishes to have some input.
Yeah, I'm going to move the recommendations on page 23.
Very good. Oh, sorry. So go ahead, the director moves the, okay. I'm looking for a seconder. You got a seconder. Any other comments on the motion? No, seeing none. I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Very good. Thank you for your time. Let me get myself oriented again. That was the extreme heat plan. And we are now going to look at 4.6, which is hazard, risk, and vulnerability assessment final report. This is for decision as well. It begins on page 228 in our agenda. And we have the same staff here to answer questions on this report, which is also a long time coming. Can you tell me when the work was begun on this?
I think the work began 3 years ago. We had a grant that helped us begin this project as well. So,
Excellent, thank you. I'm looking to the board for any questions for staff. I don't see any. Go ahead, Director McMahon. You're making some waves that you want to ask a question. I'll give you some time.
Oh, sure. We didn't get the benefit of an introduction, but it was interesting that probably due to the quality of data available, the report focuses on the District of Sechelt and the town of Gibsons and Gambier Island. Why is Gambier Island so special? Why does it get its whole section in this report?
Well, I'm not sure if Chief Michael will answer that or Director Stanford, but go ahead, Chief Michael.
I would certainly defer to the area director on that question. I wasn't heavily involved in this myself, but I would imagine that the directors are correct. It's where the data was available, but I will take some takeaways and check in with our emergency management staff and see maybe why there was such a focus. My early thoughts would be perhaps that it is a bit more isolated and recognizing that it would have some unique hazards compared to the rest of the regional district.
Go ahead, Director Stanford, go ahead.
Thank you. I didn't really notice it was that much focused on the islands, but they do have a specific and unique set of circumstances that make them more vulnerable. On the other hand, they also tend to be more set up to handle emergencies just because they're of the awareness level. Also, I think the previous hazard report was a little scant on any detail about the islands, and that was commented on at the time of the report. So maybe this is just making up for lost detail, but it's well appreciated, and I do plan to use this excellent detailed report to continue my advocacy for the critical infrastructure to support these island communities so that they can be accessed in an emergency. And yeah, thank you. It's such an interesting perspective, even though it does feel like it's all bad news. But I look forward to my communities seeing it and reminding them that they always have to be prepared, no matter what the circumstance. So very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Director McMahon, go ahead.
Sure, it's always fascinating reading about, potential disasters. And I see that Elphinstone did feature when it came to flooding, because there's reasons for that. The whole thing about the earthquakes I found sort of interesting, because the risk level is called low likelihood. And I understand that it's low likelihood in a short span of time, like in the next year or 2 or 3. But in fact, it's pretty much a guarantee that we're going to have earthquakes. Sooner or later, we will have earthquakes, and some of them will be quite large. So I would say that it's a very high likelihood, but not maybe an imminent, well, we hope not imminent, because we have almost forgotten about earthquakes in our focus on all the other disasters that have been coming at us. So, yeah, I just like to remind myself, and perhaps other people too, that we still have to think about earthquakes. Any thoughts?
Go ahead, Chief.
Yeah, I've got some perspective on this for sure. And I think our last version, I think back in 2005, 2008, was really heavily focused on earthquakes. And this came about through the community consultation piece, where there were different hazards identified as perhaps the more consequential, drought being one that I would highlight, given the time that the engagement was happening. Although I agree the consequence of an earthquake would be significant, the likelihood in the criteria, you know, a 1 in 50 year perhaps or longer, would not have the likelihood rated so high. So I think this gives us a more general focus on all the other hazards and not specifically focused, which I believe to be a good thing. But this is the exercise, right? The hazard risk vulnerability assessment and demonstrating more local, unique, and alternate hazards that we might not be top of mind for us.
Thank you. Yeah, Director Stanford, and then I'll look to this side of the table if anyone has any questions.
Just an added special interest group that I always want to make sure is brought forward is the Sunshine Coast is somewhat unique in the number of children's camps, and that always needs to be considered when developing response plans. They have different requirements, and that anytime we need to coordinate with the camps, I think it's a good thing to bring them into emergency planning. They are also probably better set up than many of the neighborhoods around them, and they can be used as a resource, as a different way of looking at them. So it's worth keeping that in mind.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking over to Director Inkster. You have some questions?
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad that others have brought up the fact that we have a couple of events that we're sadly due for. And that's fire that I go on and on about, and earthquakes. That's true. I mean, the earthquake, it's they're talking, I mean, this has been mentioned before, but I'm glad that emergency response is thinking about it, because when that happens, they say it's going to be a big one. I think we remember this board, what was it, a year ago when that one hit? That was really weird. I ran out to the middle of the street to see if something hit something. I think some of us did that and then realized it was an earthquake when the neighbors all ran outside and said, yeah, it's just an earthquake. So that's going to be really freaking people out when that finally comes. So I'm glad that there's some thought to it, although it may never happen. It might even not even happen in my kids' lifetimes, but we need to be, because it's going to knock out bridges, electricity, water systems, if it's as big as other areas of hit. The other thing I think about with this report, Chair, is that the reports are helpful, and we're being prepared because government has reacted to citizens' needs to be prepared in a calamity. But until something happens, we do not know how good we're going to be at this. And that's the interesting part about this. These are all helpful reports, but until something happens, even on a small scale, would almost be helpful because it would tell the emergency people and all the fire chiefs, police chiefs, how prepared we are when they react to a small event.
I beg to differ
Yeah.
with the director, because I have first-hand experience as to the training regime and our local fire departments go through is quite extensive, and they do train for all types of incidents, including earthquakes and floods and wildfires. And so it is one of the things I like about our fire professionals is that they are very good at thinking outside the box and coming up with solutions to the problems that they face.
Yeah, that's their Chair. I mean,
But we will see what happens when.
Yeah, because if you're emergency personnel and you have to, and it happens.
Yeah.
And then you have to decide, is my family safe? And then because that's going on, because this is just and they're well trained. We know they are. There's a training yard in Seashelt, and a lot of them come there, and I've talked to the Chief Michael about this and others about the training. It's really good, but when something happens and you're about to go to an event and you have to decide, where are my kids? Where's my family? Are they safe? And then you got to go that way. That's where the rubber hits the road. Thanks.
Yeah, I understand. We're all humans. Go ahead,
Has this
Director
been
White.
moved yet?
No, it has not.
Well, I want to point out mostly what I'm hearing right now is really strong support
Absolutely.
for this needing this this plan, and we hear it from the community all the time, like people desiring emergency plans. So I strongly support it too, and I want to move it.
Sorry, I have a seconder. So that's the recommendation says they appear on page 228 in our agenda. Go ahead, Director McMahon.
Two quick things. I believe the Hospital Foundation is holding an event about emergencies coming up soon. I complain sometimes about outside consultants coming in and dropping templates on us when they're writing reports for the regional district. But I think this is an example of a place where a template really makes a lot of sense, because jurisdictions right across the province should be following a similar, organization, set of steps, template, whatever, because it just makes sense. So I'm really glad we've got this here, and it will be updated and improved upon over coming years. So thank you.
Yeah, this is a good bit of bedside reading for our emergency response personnel as well as the general public. So any other questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Very good. Thank you for your time. We shall move on to the 60-page that has to deal with the director's remuneration review. There's a yes, would our CAO or our corporate officer wish to introduce this for us?
Thank you, Chair. So it is a requirement of the board's policy to undertake a director's remuneration review prior to the subsequent election. And so we're just presenting some options here on some ways to proceed with that. So these are not exhaustive. There could be other options, but happy to have the discussion. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, who?
Director McMahon.
Director McMahon, then Director White.
Thank you. We had a very thorough remuneration review around about 4 years ago, and that was the first one for many, many years, I think, because the system that was in place before that showed every sign of having been cobbled together and sort of patched. But, I think that the review was a good review, and that I haven't heard any complaints from any of the directors about the remuneration, maybe some minor considerations. But so I'm going to say I would be happy with option 2 or even option 3, which is not to do a remuneration review this term. And I'm interested to hear from the other directors. Thank you.
Director White, you were next up.
Yeah, I'm having deja vu here, because I thought this already came to us this term even, and we all had said the very same thing and said, let's do this internally. But now we're getting, it's back, and there's a recommendation to do it externally. And I poured through the staff report trying to find out where any mention of was of the last time this came to us, and I couldn't find it, so. Sometime in the last few months, this came to us already, and I thought we said, let's do this internally.
Is the director having a deja vu, or is this actually has happened?
So on page 4 of the staff report, I think it's page 427 of the agenda, the recommendations that staff had from that discussion was that staff bring back a report on options regarding revisions of the terms of reference, including background information. So happy to take any clarification on that particular review. I would also say that was also my recollection, but we couldn't find the specifics to that. So I think part of this particular report is to, I think, solidify that, close that loop, and make sure we're all on the same page.
Director Inkster, yeah, so that what we're talking about happened September 18th, according to this record. But you go ahead, Director Inkster.
Yeah, we'll see. I guess we just got to be, if we do anything internal, we just have to be transparent with terms of reference and decision-making, what goes into that as we do it, because I think arguments can be made for going in particular directions. A couple of things in terms of the information presented to us. One of the, Director McMahon says she hasn't heard many complaints. I think just like Director Bax with the bridges, sometimes we're a little quiet until a certain point. I've complained about the remuneration bylaw that came in last time to other directors. There's certain things that I would like to discuss. And they've heard that, so that can happen if we have that venue. One of the things that I just would like to say philosophically, though, is based on the earlier recommendations of a few years ago, is that I didn't understand why there was a difference in municipal versus regional. I don't think there should be tiers for directors. I think that if anything, the municipal moves up with the rural directors, because there was an argument made by some that they do a lot of work and they do a lot of constituency work, but then you don't have tiers, you just go up with them. And that's the change that I wouldn't have made. So I would have recognized the fact that there has been a change in workload and that they have to do a lot of their own newsletters and work, but then the municipals don't stay, they go with them. So that's one of my things that I wouldn't have done. But it came from a recommendation, the board accepted it, but you don't always have to take the recommendations, you can make your own decisions and changes. So that's just my initial thoughts, thanks.
Okay, Director White, you have something to put in.
Yeah, I guess it's unclear about how we'll go forward. I mean, if we're going to make the decision here as a board and debate things here as a board, but I mean, I am familiar with the rationale that happened last time, and it was partly to align with every other regional district in the province, virtually, which does have a difference between a recognition that rural directors do have a lot more to do with a lot more in this context anyway, because municipalities are doing their planning and everything else at the other table. So it was to align with other districts, and it's thoroughly. We had a conversation before, but I have to say it is thoroughly addressed in the report. So it's something that can be read in the report that came out a few years ago. But anyway, I feel like that's kind of a sidetrack, because I don't know. That's a discussion to have if there's an external committee or an internal committee or no committee. Maybe there'll be no committee, but that's probably where we should be focusing our conversation right now to move things forward.
All right, I've got a little speakers list. I'm going to go Director Toth. Director McMahon hasn't spoken on this yet, and then I'll go back to Director Inkster.
Thank you, Chair. It's an interesting point Director McMahon raised about, option 2 or option 3. I think it's not an extensive cost, and it's not a great amount of staff time, my understanding, to do an update along the way. So I'm not at all opposed to doing an independent review. I think one of the very last things we should be doing as directors is deciding or reviewing our own compensation, whether it's in a public meeting or not. I know that our policy for the remuneration review does speak to implementation for the following term. But if we go to move the recommendations on page 424, I'm not there yet, but if we go to move them, I would hope that somebody would add to the end of recommendation 3 to be implemented after the 2026 local election. And I know it's already in the policy, but this is one of those issues where optics matter. And I think building it right into the recommendation means that people can't, make stuff up about us voting on our own pay raises. And so those are just my own thoughts. I am interested to hear whether people think we should be doing it internally or externally. I'm in favor of externally. Thank you.
Thank you for that input. I was going to Director McMahon.
I just thought to spark the conversation a little further that I would try moving option 3, which is to not undertake a review of director remuneration this term.
Oh.
Does anybody want to second that?
Right. Director Inkster and then Director White.
Chair. A motion's on the floor. Do you want me to speak to that, or do you want to speak to the previous one?
Yeah, Kate seconded
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I do think that remuneration should be reviewed regularly. And one of the reasons I would suggest that, whatever decision you make, is that we are talking, this board, quite often about accessibility to whatever that means, including elected office, but also housing issues on the Sunshine Coast. And consequently, because of the costs associated with housing, et cetera, cost of living, we should be reviewing things more robustly now than we used to many years ago. When I was first elected, we made $3,500 a year in council in Seychelles. Can you imagine? I think, no, 38. So, yeah, it might be how long I've served. I'm taking a different tack than what Director White just said into my ear, but it's how long I've served. And so, but there's been a huge change, and that's in recognition of the fact that you're opening it up to more people. You're potentially opening it up to people with families, younger people. There's some examples of that at this table. And you're also in reviews looking at the change in the sad change in the housing costs on the Sunshine Coast and in British Columbia. So that's in speaking to that motion, and I was going to say something about the other one, but it's not on the floor right now. Thanks, Chair.
I said there's housing costs and there's workload, and Area B lost a director because she couldn't find a house, because she couldn't afford to find a house on the Sunshine Coast, and so she had to move, and so that was a reality. Director White, go ahead.
Yeah, on the motion, I'm kind of leaning towards supporting it because I'm not sure. I'm not really convinced that doing another external review is a good idea. It did take a lot of staff work. I was there. I could confirm that. There were two, and it's in the report too. There were two staff members, including the CAO, which is a big commitment of CAOs having a lot of other things to do. Spent quite a bit of time on this when I was on the external committee, when I was external. So I'm concerned about that thought, and you also can't really, I'm on another one with Director Inkster right now at the school district, and you can't necessarily, if you do an external committee, you can't necessarily control how much staff time it's going to take, because that external committee may come in and say, like, we need a ton of information, which they tend to need. They'll need staff to collect a lot of information from across BC and perhaps other information too. And I'd also say the reason I was leaning towards internal and also supportive of Director McMahon's earlier statements about this extensive report and work that was done last time is, I know there's a lot of stuff in there that has, I don't know if it was explored by the board, because I think it would all went in camera. So talk about transparency, but there were recommendations in there. Like there was a headline that, like, I think the very first recommendation of that report from last time was, and I know this is coming up in the school district discussion too, is immediately the very first thing the external people say is, well, we need some kind of job description. We need to know what your actual role is. So That's what the external people said, especially not me, because I was a former director, but the other two HR professionals said, that's the biggest thing we need. And I'm not aware that that's been done yet.
Yep.
Okay. So that there was one, okay. So, but there are other recommendations in there that I think the board may want to transparently review, because I'm not sure that was done. So that's something, and that might be the first thing an external committee says, is like, well, what about all these recommendations that were made last time? So.
Thank you. I'm going to go to Director Lee, who hasn't spoken on this yet.
Thank you, Chair. I was kind of lost in deep thought over here, and I missed, what was the motion that was made?
I would recommend that we hear that.
3, which was to not do.
Not do a review, and that the review of the director's remuneration be referred to the next board term after the 2026 election. Is that it? Yes. So go ahead, Director Lee. I want to hear what you have to say.
We did it in 2020, I believe, and it's now 2026. That's the second board that's been in place. I'm not sure that we're doing the next board a favor by saying, no, we're leaving it to you, because they really can't do a remuneration review of their own on themselves. So I think we're really, if we go with number 3, we're saying there's not going to be a remuneration review until 2030, 4 more years after this one. That's quite a while. So that's something that we need to think about before we all get together and vote here.
Director Inkster, go ahead. And then Director McMahon.
Yeah, I'm going to be supporting a review. I don't think that we shouldn't support it based on the choices we may in future make after this motion. Whether it be external or external, I'm not going to make my decision based on that. We can have that discussion at that point. As Director Lee has said, it could be 10, 11, 12 years based on a review that takes a while, that the board won't decide necessarily, that new board in 2030 right away to do that unless staff brings it to them, but unless they're reelected, they might not know to do that. So that may take a couple of years. So we're talking 12 years, potentially 11 to 12 years before a review is done when costs of living continue to rise. So I'll be supporting, as I do with always encouraging staff to bring forward any other fees and charges reviews, DCC reviews for us to make sure that we're on top of our costs of doing government. Thanks.
Director McMahon, you had some input?
Yes, I'm amazed at how the timeline keeps expanding here. But talking of timelines, it's already February. And this last remuneration review, I don't know how long it took. I can't remember right now, but it was a fairly lengthy process. To try and cram a full-scale remuneration review in before the end of this term, I think would be very difficult. And as we all know, we have a lot on our plates for the work plan, for staff, for everybody else. I think this should be booted to the next term, but possibly with a recommendation that they start earlier than this, right? Not start 6 months before the end of the term, but 2 years before the end of the term to make sure that there's time to get it done properly. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go to Director Gabias, who hasn't spoken yet.
Yeah, thank you. And understanding that the review would not necessarily be for us, it would be for the future board. I'm more inclined to want to have a review. But the last one that was done was really strong, really thorough. And I seem to remember that what we had agreed on is that we just want like a light, just a little, so I don't think it would be it doesn't sound like it would be as lengthy as the last one. So how do we, like, what resources are we willing to put towards that? I think just a light, upkeep of what we currently have would be enough. I think it's the fair thing to do for the next board and not kick it down to, in 4 years. But, so I don't know how that would be phrased differently than what it is now. But yeah, I'm not in support of not having one.
Go ahead, CAO.
I believe we need to clearly understand what a light review would, so scope of work. So I think that would then dictate what the amount of effort would be needed for something like that to estimate it. So would it be just comparing certain elements? The report has several recommendations, and we've also included background as to what was implemented. So, we'd have to understand what it was that this particular board would want us to review. It's already built in that CPI is automatically included, so that's applied. So what elements would you want either an internal, external, whatever review to undertake in accordance to what the recommendations that were implemented versus those that may have not been implemented, or those that you might want to amend what's been implemented. So there's a lot of flavors to it. So I think it's difficult to estimate without a specific scope of work.
Thank you. There are a lot of flavors to it. My initial thoughts on this is that there was a review that had certain criteria that were gone through and that were used to adjust the remuneration. Has there been any changes within that criteria that would substantially affect the outcome of the remuneration? So using the initial report and going over it and seeing if it all still applies, or if there are some substantive changes to the criteria, that would be, I consider, a light review. Are there any other questions on this? I think I made everybody. And the motion is to delay this and to not do the review and to put it to the next council board. I will call the question. All in favor? 1, 2, 3. 4. All those opposed? 1, 2, 4. Oh, okay, so that's defeated in a tie. Okay, so now we're starting over again. 1 and 2 is there any motions that anyone else would like to put forward? Director McMahon, you have your hand. Go ahead.
Not necessarily a motion, it's just, I kind of hear from the conversation that we may be leaning towards option 2, but if we do that, as the CAO pointed out, we need to set some parameters. And I'm a little concerned about trying to wing it on the fly right now to come up with these parameters. So if the board wants a light review, perhaps we could kick it to a committee to come up with some parameters on what a light review would be, and then come back with some recommendations, because otherwise I think we're going to spin our wheels here for quite some time.
Yeah, I understand. I'm not sure you're ready, but I'm going to go to Director Stanford.
My concern with that is committee sometimes is another month down the line, and we're even tighter. So I'm wondering if we can do something a little closer in. So I'm just trying to think of how to speed this along.
Mm-hmm. Good question. Director White.
I'm having deja vu again, because I feel like this is kind of what we talked about last time, and now we're like, I don't know, when to 2020. We're a number of months since that time and haven't moved forward on it. So I don't want to do the same thing and then we're just getting into next term. So I mean, I think we need to give staff some clear direction this time about, like, I thought last time we talked about an internal board committee. And look, the board has to make the final vote at the end. So whether it's from an external committee or a board committee, it's not like you're, like the board has, like only the board can approve budget. And it's the same with any government in the world. So I think there's not a lot of getting away from the fact that the board needs to make the final decision. I thought we'd talked about an internal committee of the board before. Doesn't need to be a committee of the whole, which we always do. It can just be a few members to keep it nimble, and with some modest staff support, and just get it done. I mean, I think that's what the board's wanting to do. So
That sounds like a recommendation, but I'm going to wait on that and go to Director Inkster for his input.
Yeah, thanks. I was waiting for a recommendation for Director White because he's spoken to that a couple of times, saying internal, likes that model. If that gets seconded, then maybe we could talk about that and vote on it. In order to move this forward, I'm okay with that. But I think internal means the regional district board is making the decision, but that the meeting is public. That's what I'm thinking that the internal means. That's what I'm hopeful that it is. I'm supportive of. And one question through you to the CAO, and I don't think CAO has this information, but she might, and I don't remember it from the budget documents. Do we know what percentage of our spending at the regional district goes to board remuneration and expenses? It's very small. Do we have that?
CAO, do we
Governance? Sure, but I'm asking it now, and
I'm not gonna know now.
yeah, they might not, but they might or they might not, and I can certainly find that.
It's part of
No,
general
it's not actually trivia. It's really important to tell the public if we're going to go do these discussions that we need to let the public know that it's not going to have a huge effect on taxation for the board to talk about these things. So it's not trivial to me. But anyway, if we're going to get the recommendation, if you want to push your recommendation, Director White, you're interested, then I wait for that.
You pose a question to the CAO. I'm going to ask us if the CAO has an answer. I guess it would be a section of their general government in the budget.
Yeah, it's included in general government, but we also have considerations.
Quiet, please.
The rural directors, and there's top-ups there. So the remuneration has considered not just the various travel expenses as well.
Mm-hmm.
We have to look collectively.
Oh.
We can certainly. Sorry.
Well, that's why.
That's why you couldn't hear me. Sorry for those online. So it's not just general government, it is included as well. There's some top-ups for the rural directors. So we would have to do a review of what those are, both for remuneration, and it also includes travel expenses. And so for 2026, we also did an increase for some of the various educational components. So we'd have to look at what we are considering as far as what we consider total compensation for the board, but I get that the ask, and we can provide that to the committee if that so passes.
As a percentage of our entire budget. Okay. Director Toth, go ahead.
Thank you. I think what Director White is getting at is actually the recommendations that are suggested here beneath option 2, near the bottom of page 428. I missed them when I read the report the first time because I just saw the recommendation and then moved on to option 3. But there's actually a fairly lengthy option here that looks at a internal review working group comprised of 1 to 2 directors plus a couple members of staff.
So moved.
So is that?
I read it now, yeah.
Very good. So
Any other options? Yeah.
Do you want me to just read it out?
I can read it out. That the working group comprised of directors and staff be established to conduct an internal review of the director's remuneration, allowances, expense, reimbursements, and benefits, and that the board appoint 1 to 2 directors to the working group, and further that the chief administrative officer appoint 1 to 2 staff to the working group, and further that a report be brought back before Q4 2026 with recommendations for directors' remuneration, allowances, expense reimbursements, and benefits. Now, Q4, is that after the election? So I would like to,
It says before Q4.
oh, it does say before Q4, so that's going to put it before the election. Okay, and we have a seconder?
Yeah, fine. Chair, we've read that. We know what we're supporting. Just move it forward, as I've said 4 times today. I will support that, even though I'd looked at another model. I'll support that. I'd like to see 2, at least, of directors on that. And I would like there to be some transparency, as I've indicated. Thanks.
So we're looking for public reports, absolutely. Director White.
Technical question on this, would this be something is this under the undertaking of the chair? When we say that the board appoint, is it that the chair will go and appoint these directors, or is it something that staff needs us to do as part of the motion?
Or could we do it at board when we don't?
We're going to
Either
board
or.
this afternoon with this, and no, not yet?
Either
I'm gonna
or, the committee can elect right now, you can do it at the board, or you can do it at a subsequent time.
Very good. How would you guys like to proceed? Okay. We will wait to appoint people when we get to the board, which will be 2 weeks from today-ish.
Let's do it today.
Well, it can be moved, can it be moved to this afternoon?
I'm adding that.
We can move it to this afternoon? Very good. Our corporate officers nodding in agreement, so that's what's going to happen. So we do have a motion on the floor. Yeah, that's a good referee move. Okay. Go ahead.
Your next board, if you didn't pass it today, wouldn't be until the 26th of March.
Whoa, yes, okay, so now or never, okay.
And then this be referred to board.
Yeah, we're going to refer this to board this afternoon. And any other comments or questions on this? Oh, Director McMahon, you're...
I would actually be fine with the chair appointing members to the committee, but whatever, we'll sort it out between now and this afternoon.
That's right.
Excellent. Okay, good. I'm going to call the question. All in favor? There we go. It's a unanimous. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're going to move on to 4.8. Let's see what we've got left. I'm going to wait until we go into in-camera before I call for a break. So we're going to start 4.8, which is for information, long-term debt update, and we have Manager Taylor to give us an introduction into this. Would you like to introduce this for us? Sure. Thank you.
So the report before you is intended to provide an update on the SRD's current and future debt obligations. At the conclusion of round 2, total remaining SRD issued debt totaled 17.1 million, while approved unissued debt totaled 45.4 million. Not accounted for in these figures are future projects such as the vertical expansion project, which is estimated to require an additional 32.3 million in long-term borrowing following the review and approval of the solid waste management plan. A summary of the SRD's current and proposed debt obligations can be found in attachment A, and staff are available should you have any questions.
Thank you for that introduction. I am going to look to Director McMahon. Okay. All right, go ahead, Director McMahon. You have questions.
This is, I really appreciate this report. This is what has been worrying me for a long time, is that our debt that we are taking on for projects that are completely necessary is going to be very, very considerable. And I have 2 questions. I'll start with the question of a policy. We do not have a debt servicing ratio policy. And is now the time to look for one?
Our CIO has an answer to that question. Go ahead.
The board does have a debt management policy. In that particular policy, although the regional district or regional districts in generally do not have what's reflected with member municipal debt servicing limits as a percentage of their revenue, regional districts don't have to do that, and that's partly because we are also the flow through for member municipal debt. And so the policy, however, does state that the regional district will try to mirror that particular percentage. And so when we take on additional debt and when we are presenting debt that the regional district is going to be taking on, including what member municipal debt comes on, we do provide that percentage as to where the regional district is in that particular percentage. So I think that's something that this particular report can start to integrate a new section into the report, is where are we at cumulatively, and make sure we have a good distinction between regional district debt and member municipal debt, because those would be very different amounts.
Go ahead, Director Inkster.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I have always a lot of questions and comments on debt. I'm glad to hear Director McMahon ask that proportionality question. In this case, it's important to note Seashelt's through the regional district is very small right now. I can't guarantee to this board, although it's not the board that will be paying it, but it will be the two members at this table from Seashelt, that our amount may go up. But it's very low right now, and I'm very proud of that for Seashelt, because we just had 2 debts come off. But the CEO has alluded to our capacity, and I always ask this question. What I would like to know is if, in fact, what it is going forward. We all know that the amount that people earn will go up, but not necessarily as quick as our debt to 2030 to be able to service that. But what I would like to see, if possible, and they can, and I know they can do it, it's just added work. Maybe staff has a system, a formula, is to find out what percentage going forward of our regional taxes collected will go to debt going forward. Pardon? Debt service. Sure, both. And that's what I want to see going forward, a percentage of our taxes going towards debt. And I would love to see, let's say, a pie chart that shows going forward how much goes to debt and how much goes to the provision of existing services. That's helpful information for me. And the debt servicing amount that the CEO alluded to, municipalities, as has been indicated with my previous questions, are governed differently, but it would be good to know what the regional district, let's take off the 13 million that goes to the municipalities and look at the regional district and see what our service ceiling is. Thanks.
Okay, our CFO is in the room. I was wondering if you could answer that question.
Not specifically answering the questions. I just want to, staff are making some notes so we can take a look at how we can integrate that into this reporting, because I think we're changing how we report the debt as we take on some more debt in those financial considerations, financial sustainability considerations. So one of the things we will also have to review, which is what's so different with a regional district, is it's not the same as a municipal setting, in the sense where the majority of the same folks are paying for the debt. So even though we can present those particular financial indicators, because those are traditional financial indicators in any type of financial analysis on your health of your organization, we also want to factor in the health of the specific service and those specific ratepayers that are having to pay for it. So regional water, for instance, Town of Gibson's does not pay that. So if we present something that assumes everybody paying into it, then that would be, I think, misleading because it would not be an accurate reflection. So I think we just have to consider in trying to provide this information. And when we try to do these things in comparison to our other regional districts to see the economic health of the regional district, it's just so different because of other considerations of how you're having to fund projects, timing of funding of projects, magnitude of projects. So there's just a lot to factor, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you are in a financial dire straits. It's a consideration of affordability. So I think we'll take that back and see how we can articulate and report that back to the board and to the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Director Inkster, go ahead.
Thanks to the CEO on that. I know that I probably give them extra work when I look for this information. It just speaks to community affordability and how we can pay for our debt if we look at that information. The other thing that we do, because I've talked to finance staff about it in the municipality and the regional district, is some of the debt's laddered. But we need to consider as we look forward the future, because I'm not sure how the loans will be governed, is money's really cheap right now. And as any of us that had parents paying for mortgages in the 80s, it meant that the cost of borrowing doubled the loan at least, or tripled the loan, but houses were cheaper then. But anyway, the fact of the matter is money's really cheap right now. So if interest rates change, then the prediction of costs may change if they can't lock in a loan for a number of years at cheaper rates. Thanks, Chair.
Go ahead, Director McMahon. Sorry, I didn't see your hands.
Yeah, I appreciate that it is very difficult to communicate the kind of impact because we have different scopes of service. Like the landfill is an easy one because everybody is involved in the landfill. So we actually have a really good estimate of what a $33 million loan is going to cost the average taxpayer, which is $13.66 per 100,000 of assessment. So that I took that out of the February 2nd report. But then regional water doesn't involve the town or people who aren't on the system. And then, fire departments are different again. Half Moon Bay needs a new fire hall. That's not included in this. There's a lot coming at us, and I am concerned that we don't get ourselves into a crunch where yes, we can borrow almost infinitely, but we obviously don't want to. So we're going to have the discussion of how much debt is too much debt. And that it's complicated because it affects different taxpayers and different services differently. But some kind of a breakdown on where the debt is by service might be helpful. I don't know if there's an easy way to do that in a graphical way, at least with the big services that we have, like regional water, solid waste, regional recreation, things like that. I think I've blithered sufficiently for the moment.
Thank you. And I do remind directors that although we're approaching the end of the open agenda, it is lengthy and we still have an in-camera agenda. Director Toth, go ahead.
Thank you. Just a quick comment, Chair, and I apologize, Director McMahon, because I saw your email and I meant to sort of head off this question in a bit of a way because solid waste might be an easy one because everybody participates, but the board hasn't made the decision on how to fund that debt yet. If we fund it from 100% user fees, i.e. tipping fees, it's actually not taxation debt funding at all. And so I think that's one of the things that we have to be careful about, both when we talk about debt funding and also knowing that the newspaper listens to our meetings, when they report out on debt funding, it's really, it's a headline grab to say, $35 million in new debt, blah, blah, blah. But it's so much more nuanced than that. And it's frustrating because it's more nuanced than that. And it's not easy for us to communicate that with people. when the headlines drop. So I think that's something that our staff and us have to stay on top of communications with our communities. Thanks.
Director Inkster, go ahead.
Yeah, that's an important point.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I didn't see your, I'm sorry, Director, I did not see your hand. I will go to Director Lee. Go ahead.
Now I forgot what I was going to say. Not really. I wanted to say a few things, and that is I was looking at the future borrowing, which Director Toth did talk about, and it's nice information to have, but there's grants that we're going to get. There's other ways of funding it, like user fees. So it's good information, and it's great to see. But we got to be careful not to alarm people until it is time to be alarmed. The other, I did have a question though, and that was a different question. I was looking at this and trying to find the initial amount that we borrowed and the length of time we borrowed it over, so I could get some apples and apples things, but I couldn't find it anywhere. Is there some way I could find that information when I was curious about it?
The director,
I believe that I was trying to explain to, in one of my news releases, just exactly what it meant, you know? So,
does this information exist in this report? Senator Taylor? Right.
The timelines exist in attachment A, maturity and the term lengths.
That'd be page 537.
I'm actually looking at page 537, and I see the principal balance remaining. I see the annual service cost. I see the interest rate, but I don't see the amount we initially borrowed and how long we had borrowed that for.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, could I clarify which loan you're referring to?
Yeah, all of them.
All of
Yes.
them?
So when the loan was taken out and what was the term?
I apologize, because I originally thought you were talking about proposed debt. That is something that staff could consider adding into future iterations of this report, for sure.
Useful information.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
All right, Director Inkster, can you keep your comments brief?
Yeah, I'll try.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was asking for earlier, was the makeup of our debt, and it's a lot of staff work. And what Chair Toth is saying about public communications and what the public understands is really needs to be clear decisions, how we fees versus overall public taxation. We need to make sure we're clear about that, and we talk about that. Just ending really quickly, a lot of the Republicans in the U.S. still think that tariffs are paid for by other countries. So that's an example of how we need to inform the public. Thanks.
Yes, there is misinformation and disinformation out there about the finances of the world, and it serves some people and does a disservice to others. I am looking around and I don't see any hands up at the moment, so I'm going to just move right along to the minutes from our PTAC meeting of Tuesday, February 17th. I see that Director Lee and Director McMahon were at this meeting, and I'm going to look to them to see if there's any comments that they wish to put to the board. Otherwise, these minutes are one of the reports that was adopted. Go ahead, Director Lee.
I did want to mention that there was a presentation made that was extremely interesting. I don't know if it's kept somewhere or not.
What was the nature of the presentation?
It talked about actual money to be borrowed and the impact long term. It was quite a nice presentation made to the group.
The updates to the draft solid waste management plan.
Yes.
Is that something that we've already seen and that or that is available online? Go ahead, Director, or sorry, General Manager Rosenboom.
Thank you for the question, Chair. That's the same information as was provided earlier to the board in a report about funding strategies for the vertical expansion and solid waste management plan. And the presentation, I believe, is available on the PTEC site on the SRD website, on the PTEC page.
Available on, can you repeat that last part?
On the website, on the SRD website, under PTEC.
Advisory committees?
Yeah.
Okay.
Advisory committees.
Yeah, on the front page, advisory committees.
Thank you, Chair.
No worries.
Yeah, I had seen the information before, but it was put in a different
Format? Yeah.
simplified format, which I really did like. So I'm going to go and pull it now.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Good. With no other comments on this item, I'm going to move to 5.1, which is, it is correspondence from Joanne Malar, Communications Coordinator, Regional District of Okanagan-Similkameen, about orphan dams. Orphan dikes. And although at first I thought that this might be something that should be dealt with at UBCM, I realized that UBCM has put some restrictions on our resolutions in that they should be, they should fit into the entire province's purview and not be too regional. And so this is, I believe there is a dike that's owned and operated by the regional district, which could fall into this category. Go ahead, Director White.
I'm a bit confused why this is on here, because we do get correspondence from other local governments all the time saying, hey, here's our motion, can you support it? So I've been kind of looking around seeing, did any director ask for this to be on the agenda? And I don't see it. So I feel like we should continue to follow a general protocol. Like if a director asks for something to come to the board, let's do that. But I'm not seeing that, and given that I don't see anybody jumping in, we've received this already. Let's move on to the next agenda item. Like I don't think we need to.
Good.
I don't think we need to address every single request. Because I just saw one from Kamloops that came in about Indigenous relations last week, and I don't see that on the agenda. We're not putting it on the town agenda.
I was a bit
because nobody's asked for it. So let's just move on. It's my
Director McMahon.
Yes, excuse me, we are being asked to sign their letter. It is a specific action. It's not to support their motion at UBCM. We are being asked to be added as a signatory on their letter.
Okay.
So do we need a motion to sign this letter?
If that is the will of the committee.
Go ahead. Yes? Okay. So, Director Lee.
Thank you, Chair. I didn't really think it was our business because we don't have any dikes anywhere. So we could be commenting on something. Do we have a dike somewhere that's we need to worry about?
Go ahead, GM Rosenboom.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Yes, the SRD has a dike at the hillside, but it's registered in our name. Orphan dikes are dikes anywhere in the province where there is actually no owner for. And hence, it's a big risk to the community because there's nobody responsible for the operating and maintenance of those dikes. That's the difference.
So the motion is to put the board's signature on this letter and return it to the request is, but I'm going to put it to the board as a motion.
Are you making that motion?
I am.
Okay. Is anybody seconding you?
Is anybody seconding me? No, then I'm going to abandon that motion and we're going to move on to the in-camera portion of our agenda. I move that the public be excluded from attendance at the meeting in accordance with sections 91K and 91K and 92B3 of the community charter. So moved, so seconded, all in favor? Okay, thank you. And we're going to adjourn the public portion of the meeting.
Adjourning anyway.
Or sorry, we're going to pause public portion, and we're going to go to in camera. We shall return here in 5 minutes' time. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the open portion of the Sunshine Coast Regional District Committee of the Whole meeting for Thursday, February 26th. It is currently 12:29, and I am going to inform the public that we shall change the time for our board meeting this afternoon from 1 o'clock until 1:30 due to the length of our morning meeting. So I'm looking for a motion to adjourn this morning's meeting. I have a motion, I have a seconder. All in favor? Very good, thank you. We'll see you in an hour. Oh, are there?
We did that before we go in camera, because people